Are you ready to learn what red flags keep an eye out for when looking for love?
Then we got you covered. I'm Brianna.
And I'm Alex.
And this is the podcast where we unpack reality TV and call out the bullshit,
so that you show up confidently while dating and in relationships. Welcome to Ditch the Script. Oh my God.
I love it. Hey, dude.
Hey, girl. Hey. How are you?
Hanging in there. Doing just the Lord's work, which is just it's existing. We're just existing.
I like it. Yeah.
How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Honestly, I'm getting so excited for some things that are coming up in my business. I am doing new stuff and I'm just fucking pumped, bro. Okay.
Yes. Ooh, that was some like explosive energy. I liked it.
Yeah. For those of you who don't watch us, I just jumped up and down in my chair like a child. Yeah, I love what I fucking do. And I'm so excited to help people in different ways. I'm such a dork, but it's the fucking truth, man. I love it.
No, it's cool. It's really cool. It's a very, I don't know if this should be a unique experience, but I guess right now it feels like a unique experience to like do something that you really, really love. That doesn't mean it's like not frustrating, but you love it. And so therefore it's like, it feels really good doing it. And you happen to be really great at it too. So that's pretty cool.
Thanks, Chica. Yeah, you know, it's just like, honestly, if I can help people with some tools and tricks and tactics, like, and make this world a better place one person at a time, I am down for it. And I know you feel the same.
Yeah.
And so,
totally.
Yeah. So it's been like the entrepreneur side of this has been like, I feel like I'm playing more, which is really fun instead of trying to do my business the way that everybody else does it. So I'm just playing right now and we're going to see what happens. But I'm really stoked about it. Like, so stoked about it.
I'm excited to see what comes of it.
Yeah, me too. I'm excited. Come on, universe, let's play.
Universe, can you come outside and play today?
That sounds funny, but that's literally how I talk to the universe.
Yeah,
in my mind.
No,
like,
but I think that's cute.
Yeah, totally. It's really, I feel like my relationship with like spirituality has shifted from that because like, even though I grew up like in the confines of like worship and prayer in the church setting, it's like the way I've always had this connection with some kind of divine entity. And so the way like what's transferred over is like my spiritual practice very much is like every day. Like I take time to be like, what's up? What do you need from me? What can I do to serve you and make this world a better place? Like, and you know, not so much in service that the universe demands that of me, which is what a lot of religious organizations try to push, but more of in servitude to raise the vibration for the greater good. And I just fucking love it. I get off on it in a weird way. Yeah. It feels good.
No, it's not weird. It's very like soul purposing because I like what you just mentioned. While it did feel very reminiscent of like your previous relationship to God.
Right.
It was like, it's like putting energy into this like larger entity, this like differently defined entity for you, but for the purpose of serving you so that you can like serve the rest of the world as opposed to being like one of God's like tiny soldiers.
Yeah. Yeah. So last night I was visualizing very much playing with the universe, and we don't need to go into that. I'll tell you privately what that looks like because you will have a ball with it. But yeah, and it's like this cosmic vibe. I just love it. So we're vibing. I'm vibing today in that it feels so good.
I'm receiving your vibes. I'm receiving your vibes. Like I am already in like a pretty good headspace, but like being able to like share energy with someone who also is like you're bouncing off of makes it's a vibe. It's also very cool to be able to have that exchange virtually. Like
totally.
Before the pandemic, I mean, like even during the pandemic, like even Zoom, like hangouts and phone calls, like FaceTimes, sometimes that did feel really draining, and that definitely felt relevant to like the collective trauma that we were all experiencing at the time.
So true.
But I didn't have much hope in feeling like you can connect and like send and receive energy, like you would be able to if you're spending time together.
Totally.
But depending on who you're doing it with, who you're collaborating with, where you're at energetically when you enter in that virtual space, you're so able to like exchange that energy in such a like actual tangible kind of way, even though what I'm talking about is not really tangible, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. You know, it comes back to that saying like, you know, what you put out there comes back to you. And also like the other one that comes to mind is you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. It's like by osmosis, right? It's like just by being in the same energy or place, whether that's virtual or physically, the energy resonates. So be mindful. But today is a cosmic vibe, baby.
Cosmic vibes.
Cosmic vibes.
Okay. So something I wanted to sort of talk about today, including the fact that like we're in this good space.
Yeah.
I also like want to sort of shed light on the fact that like my good vibes, my good space has definitely been challenged as everyone's life does. Yeah, exactly. Because
on the daily,
you could work really hard. Exactly. You could work really hard on like managing your mental health and taking care of your work and your relationships and the things that are important to you to try to like just keep at a neutral, like we're managing way and still be challenged by everything else that's going on. So I wanted to just sort of talk about my experience of like coming away from like, I'm basically mourning the loss of a dating experience with a person that I was like getting really excited about. Yeah. So for context, like me and this person had not started dating each other seriously. We were just in those early phases of getting to know each other. Yeah. And I was starting to sort of check in with all of the things that felt really good to me about that, while also keeping in mind some of the things that like didn't feel super good. And this relationship didn't end up working out. And so we're no longer seeing each other. And I have been noticing how fragile one's self-esteem is in this time when you come away from any type of relationship. And I guess like the insight that I want to share does feel a bit more relevant to like quick, not super deep connections, not necessarily like long-term committed relationships that we may find ourselves in, because those I find are a different mourning experience. That's a different kind of loss. This is like, this feels a little bit like the loss of, like, actually it just honestly brings up a lot of like insecurities. And I think that it has the power to do that. Yeah. You know, like it gives us this space to like feel whatever typically comes up when we feel left or not really known.
Totally. Yeah. I think to add to that, and I'm not saying this is necessarily your case, but I'm curious, is grieving the hope that you experienced for this potential relationship.
100%.
Yeah. Because it's like, you know, well, let's all be real here. Okay. Sex is easy to find, right? Physical connection, like that's cheap. It's easy to find. Okay. Yeah. What's harder to find is someone that you genuinely enjoy talking to regularly. Like, you know, and like you have common interests and you have similar values. And so, you know, as you get to know someone, that hope is there of like, oh, wow, this is different. This has a little bit more potential. And so that excitement is wonderful. And that hope is wonderful. And at the same time, when it doesn't work out, you're still allowed to feel your feelings. And I think like, I think that's where a lot of people struggle is like they, again, going back to this concept of self-gaslighting, it's like, oh my God, this wasn't even a serious relationship. Why do I feel this way? Like there was, you know, and it's like, no, you had hope. You're grieving the hope of what you thought this could be. And that's okay. You're allowed to feel that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's so true. And it's really important to sort of point out, which is that like we are susceptible to getting invested in the idea of where you thought things were headed, no matter what, like where you were at in the relationship. And honestly, no matter how it fell out, like it truly doesn't even matter. And I sort of like straddle between the line of like not wanting to be on the extreme of like you don't want to get too ahead of yourself when you're getting to know someone. And I think that sometimes, at least for me, what gets challenging, because my thoughts, I get really excited. Like I get really excited pretty quickly, and I'm like, and I can see how that would be distracting from really just getting to know the person that's in front of you. But it doesn't mean that you are like exempt from experiencing what you're talking about, which is like losing whatever momentum of the hope that you had that this was at least starting to turn into in a more like reality-based sense, like starting to make just regular plans to spend time with each other and new ways that you were imagining that you were going to like learn more about, like honestly, conversations that you thought were not finished, that you were hoping to continue, that you didn't get to continue. You know? And it's so I just wanted to point this out because I think that this is something that a lot of us experience, and I find to be a really sensitive place. And I wanted to just like shed a little bit of light to say that like, you're like exactly what you said, you're allowed to be in this feeling. You're allowed to name how this hurts you and give yourself a little bit of space to just like fully be a human in that. I think that it's helpful to just sort of like name why this is upsetting. Like if you get to the place where you're like, I feel that this is unfinished. Like I'm upset that this makes me feel underappreciated. I'm upset that this makes me feel like I wasted time, whatever feels relevant to you when you come to this moment. And I think that process of getting to know a little bit about why does this actually hurt me can give you a bit more clarity on what's going on for you so that you can actually understand a little bit better about how you take care of yourself. So if you're feeling lonely, like how do I seek support from people who I trust and love? If I'm feeling underappreciated or undervalued, is there something that is there a practice of mine that helps me engage with like reminding myself of my worth?
Totally.
You know, like engaging in like, I don't want to be too woo woo, but like, I do think that like, it's an opportunity to turn inward and be like, how do you take care of yourself? Really?
Yeah. 2 points came up. Let's see if I can remember them. The first one I want to say is trying to pretend like you're okay when you're not okay. Does that ever really make you feel better? Yeah. So this comes back to like, you know, we touched on this a little bit ago in one of our episodes, but like in order to heal, you need to feel. In order to process and move forward, you need to feel what you're feeling. So and I think that this toxic positivity culture of like his loss, sure, that's all great. And let's allow each other to feel our feelings, because trying to swallow the like, you're right, like his loss, I'm okay, and ignore the pain of the loss, right? Yes. The even just the loss of the hope, like I said a second ago, that is still valid. That is still honorable, and you need to honor that, you know? And so that's my first point. And then the other point, let's see if I can remember it. I don't. Oh, yeah, I do. I do remember it. It came back to me. Thank you. I want to also throw out there that something that was really powerful for me in learning to date intentionally and dealing with this process of things that end before they even fully take off the ground, which come on, again, let's normalize grieving that, because it happens so much nowadays. Like, let's draw the contrast. Back in the day, you know, you didn't have as many dating pools or dating options. Your dating pool was smaller because it was like you lived in the neighborhood, you worked together, you went to the same church, right?
Yeah.
Like those are the ways we met people. Now it's like we meet millions of people at our fingertips on social media and dating apps and da-da-da-da. So we're dating more people, which means we're experiencing more loss. Okay. And at the same time, because of the way we're meeting people, the dopamine we experience from like, you have a match on Bumble, you got a message on Bumble, you got a text from this cute boy or whatever is coming in. We become addicted to the notification, quite literally. And so for me, this allowed me to give myself more compassion, because when I could recognize that another reason I was grieving the situation, even if it wasn't necessarily the actual person, I was missing the attention, the validation that I was getting from the text coming in or whatever.
Yeah.
And like feeling like someone out there was caring about me or like wanting to talk to me. And when I started to understand like, oh, this is low key an emotional addiction, like I need to heal this, I need to learn how to process this, it allowed me to kind of give myself a break and not be so hard on myself about like, why do you care, Alex? You went on one date or whatever. Like, and I was so mean to myself about it. And it's like, no. There's so much happening here. The hope that we lost, the getting accustomed to having someone pinging your phone regularly. And then all of a sudden that's gone. And you're like, whoa, you know? So I wanted to throw that out there because for me, that was something that really empowered me. Like one, that's when I got super into emotional regulation because I learned how to support my body and like moving through that. But yeah, like there's way more going on than what we recognize on the outside.
Yeah. Than just feeling stuck and feeling silly that you're feeling stuck.
Yeah. Right? Like your nervous system is tripping, dude. Like be kind to it. Be kind to it.
And for a lot of different reasons, like I really think that it hits a different insecurity button, which under that is like a major fear that's unique and relevant to each of us as individuals. I think it hurts a lot when you're working hard to try to date more intentionally because you're like, I'm doing what's expected of me. Or let me rephrase that. I've focused on some of the habits that have held me back in the past from establishing meaningful connections. I'm really working hard this time to I'm working hard on myself, but so that I can show up in a more effortless, like me kind of way.
Right.
And give myself the opportunity to be that person in front of other people. And you're still at risk of being left. And you're still at risk of having your insecurities come to the surface. And that's not always a sign of you failing at this or being bad at this or unlovable. It's also not a sign that they're a complete asshole. Sometimes they are a complete asshole. And like, I hope that what we're doing on this show is like, we're naming a bit more of those evident red flags of when people are just not good to each other in this dating sphere, out of a lack of capacity to share perspective, whatever the case may be. But the people that leave you that are just trying to be on their own path, I don't believe deserve this title of like, he's just an asshole. What a prick.
Yeah.
What a dumbass for missing the gem that you are. And for anyone in my life that has told me that after years and years and years of trying to like get this thing off the ground, like I appreciate that support, but I want us to question if that actually feels like it's helping, because it doesn't feel helpful to me.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really interesting we're talking about this because one of my private clients, she just recently got on Bumble. Guy asked her out on a date last week. They made reservations for this Tuesday. They were texting, and then Saturday comes and he just disappears for 4 days till the day of the date. And she messaged me and she's like, what do I do? Like, we were talking about music and then now he's gone and he knows we have a reservation at this place tonight. Like, what do I do? And I was like, honestly, on to the next one, because And the way I comforted her, because she was like, did he do this because she's been really focusing on maintaining her sense of self as she's been talking to this guy. And so one of the ways I tell my clients to do that is to stick to your hobby, stick to your schedule. Like, don't stay up till midnight texting him if you don't usually stay up till midnight. If you go to bed at 9 o'clock, tell him at 8:30, like, hey, going to bed, chat with you tomorrow. Are you guilty of this? Is that why you're
I'm feeling attacked.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But no. I say that sort of
playfully,
hyperbolically. Yeah. Because that's something that I'm really quick to do, but that I like that reminder. Stick to your routine. Like, maintain your boundaries, maintain your life boundaries. Like, you're not going to lose someone because you won't answer them at 12:30 at midnight.
And so this is what she brought up. She was like, did he, cause he of course like called her a grandma and sent a grandma emoji. And she was like, yeah, right. And and even in that exchange, like, I feel like a lot of guys think they're being funny, cause I've been called that. I usually go to bed at 9:30. Like, I need sleep, people. I do. Okay.
Yeah.
And, no shame. And I think people think they're being funny when they do that, but it's not funny if that's truly who you are. You're kind of insulting me. Anyway. So, but I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt here because he doesn't know what he doesn't know, right? I'm sure it came from a funny place. But anyway, she asked me, she was like, did he stand me up on the date because of this? And I was like, no, it's not because of that. There could be a myriad of reasons, okay? And if it was that, definitely not a match, okay? Because you want someone who's going to respect your routine. But I just told her, I'm like, there's a million things. He could be hung up on his ex. He could have, got sick. He could have had a family emergency. He could just be a guy who doesn't really know what he wants. Like, and he's talking to 50 people on this app, and that's okay because that's how dating apps are. But don't take it personally, And she was like, yeah, you're right. On to the next one. Thanks for playing.
I'm really glad that you brought that up. Would you, I think that that's a really helpful reminder to people who are like ready to jump down someone's throat, maybe via text message when they're feeling like,
oh my God, don't do it.
Yeah. Because we really don't know what's going on with other people. And it's one thing to feel that our time is not being respected and that we as individuals are not being respected. Because we're like, hey, we want some communication. And then they like, don't communicate with us. And then they fall off before a date. Like that is disrespect. But to jump down someone's throat and be like, you're such an asshole. Why would you do this? And like, what the fuck is up with you? And then they're like, what happens if you get the text of like, my mom died, God forbid. Yeah. Like let's not, sometimes it's better to just not say shit. Just don't say shit. And if they come back to you and they're like, hey, how about a date at the ass crack of dawn whenever it's convenient for me? And you'd be like, actually, no, I didn't really appreciate how things fell off when we last tried to connect. So I'm all set. Good luck out there.
And that's literally what I told her. Cause she was like, should I, cause the date was like approaching and she was like, should I reach out to see? And I was like, no, he's a grown man. He got your texts. Okay. Yeah. You do not need to, he knows what he's doing. Okay. And I even said that I was like, unless he comes back to you and says something to the effect of my mom died, I got COVID and was in the hospital, anything crazy like that. Like, unless there's a legitimate reason as to why he would disappear and leave you hanging for that long, then no, you're done. You're moving on because otherwise there's no consequence for him treating you that way. So, and I don't necessarily like that word because I don't want it to sound like we should be punishing people. But what I do mean is we train people how to treat us. That's what boundaries are, you know? Yeah. And if she were to not exactly what you said, I didn't appreciate how you fell off and kind of left me hanging. That's the conversation that would need to happen next, unless it was some kind of crazy freak accident or emergency. So, she's fine. On to the next one. She has a bunch of matches. I'm so proud of her. But this is what happens is like, it's approach dating apps with that mindset. It is a low investment for the majority of people that are on those apps. Yep. And so choose wisely and protect yourself and just take it as it comes and for what it is.
And if you find yourself getting hurt, feeling burned, take care of yourself, be cognizant you're not taking it out on other people.
Totally.
Namely, the date that knew you for like 5 fucking minutes. And just show yourself the love and compassion that you really were hoping that this person was going to show you, and
Word.
Give yourself time to notice that you get back to neutral, and then guess what? You move on. Time happens.
Yeah. Yeah. What's meant for you won't miss you. Embrace that. I say that to myself all the time. What is meant for me will not miss me. Like you. Yeah. You were meant for me in my life.
Oh my God. You were meant for me. In a deep, like, meaningful way. Oh, fuck. We can't go down that road right now. Oh, God. I do think about that shit all the time, and a lot lately.
Yeah. Yeah. Like soul sisters.
I'm getting hot.
Sorry.
Okay. Alrighty. Speaking of moving on.
We're going to move on with this show.
We're going to move on. Okay, because also we have to get into our Married at First Sight, our mass breakdown, because honestly, what?
There is so much in this episode, and I love it. And if you're listening and you're not watching, find a way to watch it, because it is worth it. It is worth it. It is worth it.
I almost took out my whole, microphone setup. Please watch this show. It is such an interesting case study. You are seeing so many different kinds of relationships like unfold in very different ways, all very relatable ways. And you can see parts of yourself in
everyone.
So many of these couples. Yeah. And what an amazing learning tool. It's been amazing for me.
I'm so happy that you appreciated it. Yeah. By the way, heads up, didn't tell you this. This is also Jordan's first time ever watching the show. So both of you are kind of having similar experiences. Yeah.
Little baby newborns.
Little baby newborns. But I do love the opportunity it gives us to touch on other things that other reality shows don't necessarily give us the opportunity to touch on. So let's effing do it.
Okay. Let's get into Stephen Noy.
Okay.
Oh, wait, I'm just going to set the scene as far as where we're at in the show, where everyone's progressions are. So we have come away from everyone's weddings. We're sort of recapping on a lot of the couples first nights. We are now transitioning into everyone they're going to Puerto Rico to start their honeymoon. And we basically see them just touch the ground, first day vibes. That's where we're at. Yeah. In the timeline.
Yeah.
So, Stephen Noy. Anything that stuck out to you that feels important to get into?
I think they're super cute. Obviously, I've been saying that from the get-go. I really love how articulate Noy is with what she's feeling from Steve. So she made a comment his presence makes me feel safe. And I love that she can articulate that and recognize that.
I wrote that down too.
Yeah, yeah. She said she feels like she's been with him for a while. He mentioned that he agrees it's a similar vibe. It feels natural to him and comfortable with her. And yeah, I mean, they're going. I'm not concerned.
I agree. They're really what feels really grounded. Good about both of them. They're grounded, but they're also they seem very much at the same pace.
Yes.
In the same place. Not one of them seems far more interested in the other. Not one of them seems far more disconnected. It doesn't, they really seem like they're sort of in tandem with each other.
Yeah. And I want to add to that, nor is one of them pushing the other to move faster emotionally or physically than the other.
Yeah.
They are very much on the same page. They're very respectful of each other. And I am so damn proud. I am so proud. I want to meet them.
I know. They're cute. I mostly want to spend time with Noy because I think that she's
she's our girl. She would be
seems
so
like
fun
a
to
good
chill
time.
with. Yeah.
Yeah. She's definitely
I want to play with her wigs.
Yes. It comes from a family of wigs, but she's definitely a person that I relate to the most on the show so far. I want to sort of bring up the, how they're navigating Steve's unemployment, status. So I think that it's what's been positive about this. So obviously we talked on last week's episode about Steve's unemployed. He's been a nomad since he got let go. It seems like almost a year ago. And Noi was very like, okay, that's fine. Like,
yeah,
he seems like someone who's going to be able to have a plan. She starts talking to his parents. She sort of names that concern, they were checking in with her. She was honest about it. And, they sort of had a conversation. She's bringing that back to Steve and they open up the conversation. And I think that this was a very realistic version of what happens when couples start, especially couples that are just in those early phases of like really liking each other, but needing to have serious conversations. They open up something that definitely feels heavy for them. And they sort of were like, okay, we clearly have a lot to talk about. How are we feeling about this? And obviously it doesn't get resolved in that one moment because how could it?
No. And I actually really liked the way Steve responded because he's not against getting a job. And I low-key feel that that's how the show is trying to position it. Like they're really trying to create this drama. Like Steve's this irresponsible dude.
Yes.
And he's not, like he wouldn't have the means to do what he's been doing for a year. If he was that irresponsible, he wouldn't be on the show and he wouldn't have his parents showing up to talk to their, you know what I mean? Like there would be repercussions is what I'm trying to say in every facet of his life. It would ruin the relationships with his family and his friends because if he's mooching off of them for his survival, you see what I'm saying? So,
yes.
So when Noi sat down and is like, hey, we need to figure out what that's going to look like because I really want kids. And she says in her confessional, like, I need a financially stable partner. Everyone does. Yes, absolutely. Great. And Steve's response to that was, I really want to explore what you and I envision for our life before I commit to a job. And I think that is such a great point because especially doing the work he does, like he's been freelancing to pay his bills, which that's kind of hard to do to make a successful freelancing career. You got to grind for that. And he's doing it.
There's an effort.
Yeah, there's an effort. And, the other thing I want to say is it's understandable because potentially with the work he does, that could dictate where they move to, if at all.
Right.
And, and so that's a really heavy topic. I do, the only thing if he was a client of mine that I would have said, and he might have said this and we just didn't get it in what we saw once it was post-production, is I wish he said, I really want to have this conversation. Let's enjoy our honeymoon. And when we get back, we can kind of check in with reality and like really talk through like what our options are here. Yeah. Because we didn't hear that from him. It was just like, yes, and I want to have a conversation on what we envision, before I commit. And that was all we saw.
Yeah.
So I feel like him saying that piece and reassuring her, like, I want to have this conversation. Let's just do it at this point would have been
totally
more reassuring for her.
Yeah. I think adding to that a little bit, like in the conversation, because he was grilled by Noi's family.
I know
because they have different goals, which this is can oftentimes be true. Like your family or your partner's family have a lot of expectations, and they like to invite that into your relationship space. And you want to have some sort of a delicate balance between having respect and, being honest and forthcoming appropriately with their family, but also like keeping the important conversation within your relationship and based on what the two of you want.
Yeah.
I think I really like what you said about, sort of just the notes for him to be like,
yeah,
it's a really important conversation. Let's have it. I think it would also have been really interesting for him to let her family know, like, I totally understand why this is a concern for you. Yeah. Like it's something that we're still exploring. Like, obviously we have a lot to talk about. And I think even saying that to Noi as well is like, hey, listen, like I get it. I get any feelings that could come up about this, like committed to figuring this out together. There's a lot to consider. Let's keep it moving. But honestly, even without those two things that we would have advised or imagined mentioning ourselves, they seem to sort of be grounded, as you mentioned, and just are pushing
along for the ride. Yeah. Yeah.
Love that.
So go Steve.
Go them.
Go them.
Okay. I want to talk about Olajuwon. Oh no, actually, Mark and Lindsay. Let's get into Mark and Lindsay a little bit.
Okay, let's. The more I see of Lindsay, the more I want to go give that woman a hug.
Yeah.
Like, I feel
she
for
needs
her.
Comfort.
She needs comfort. And her, honestly, full transparency here, I am very impressed with her ability to articulate what she likes about Mark. Low-key gobsmacked by her emotional maturity in that way. I want to be very specific here, in that way.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Because she says multiple times, I like his vulnerability. He makes me feel safe. He had my back. And she even said, I'm so grateful. At one point when she was videotaping herself, she was like, I love him. And I didn't interpret that as in love with him. She loves who he is as a person because of the stability he provides for her. Go ahead.
She did say, I love him.
Yeah,
but
she did.
I'm with you. It's like you're loving the support from this person. And that is positive.
Yeah.
It was giving me a little bit of like love bombing vibes, but I could see from her position that she was feeling very supported by him. Like he was in the corner.
Yeah. That's what I put. I said, I was at first doubting her feelings for him. I think especially initially she was throwing it out there, but I think after the drama that unfolded in this episode with her and Olajuwon, she truly did I felt she truly did eventually mean what she said. Now, how much depth is that? That's different. You see what I'm saying? It's very similar to Olajuwon where he's like, my wifey, I got her back. It's kind of like that puppy dog thing, but we're seeing it in two different, manifest in two different ways where Lindsay's all about it and she's saying these things. And I think she does mean those things. I just don't know how much depth there is to what she's saying yet because it's still early. Am I making sense?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I get your point though, because no, I get your point, but I do also see that like her calling out, like, this is how I feel about Mark at this juncture. Like you are seeing her back that up with her actions where she's like, the way that they're continuing to try to connect with each other, their words might be very big, but their actions are also like, they're
in alignment.
Yeah, in alignment. I will say that, like, comparatively, like Olajuwon, exactly what you mentioned, like him being like, well, that's my wife, like, you're my wife, like that shit felt empty to me. Yeah. Because, I don't know, we could get into it right now.
We could. I want to stay on Lindsay and Mark for just a little bit more.
Okay, let's get there.
My biggest concern about this is how people keep warning Mark of her anger.
Like her family and her friends.
Everyone. They got him what they called a survival kit. That's scary.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, like, here's a survival kit for you and your new wifey. For your new wifey, even. It wasn't even for both of you.
For her.
Yeah. And I will say that when he told Lindsay, you know, they said you need someone to reel you back in, she was like, yeah, you know, and I appreciate her being like, okay, yeah, that's legit. But my fear around them is her anger. I'm still concerned about the imbalance of masculine feminine energies, which was a amazing conversation Jordan and I got into last night. Just like the power dynamic, because she's always, she's such a boisterous personality that it forces Mark to be more feminine in energy, more receptive, more nurturing in that way. And I don't know, when we're watching him at the bachelor party, he was like very similar to Lindsay in energy. Like, I'm Mark the Shark, like, you know, like, more alpha male in that way. Did you like my impression?
I really did. No, but the point that you're making is so true. It's like, that's actually the version of him that we were introduced to. Also, what his friends and families are familiar with him, and all of his time spent with Lindsay forces him into this receptive state.
Yeah. And in my opinion, because I do not agree with masculine, feminine energies in the sense that we need to, like, women always need to be in their feminine and men always need to be in their, I don't agree with that. I I know this is a fact. We all contain both kinds of energies, and we need to get really good at flipping in and out of what energy serves us for the dynamic that we're in right now. And so for this state, Mark is doing a really damn good job of pulling back, allowing Lindsay to be who she is, and him being more receptive. However, I don't think he's going to be able to tolerate it for very long, because it can become very emasculating in the way that she sits in her energy.
When is she going to make space for him?
To be him. Know?
Yeah. What you were just mentioning about like pulling back your energy, putting forth your energy, taking turns with your partner, is really interesting, because I think about it in this example of like when you and your partner are going through different periods of like need. So like you're having a really difficult time at work and you really are like struggling with your mental health because of it. And you're like, you're leaning on your partner to support you in that, so that when you are well and your partner's going through something, so there's something going on with their family and they're struggling because of it, it's like you're able to hold space for them, you know? It's sort of similar here. It's like,
100%.
I agree. Like, because when you were talking, I was like, almost like, okay, well, maybe this isn't a good match. Maybe Lindsay needs someone who's going to be in a more like feminine state
permanently.
Yeah, exactly. And I actually disagree with that. And I like what you said, where it's like, no, they probably just need to take turns. Can Lindsay do that? Can her ego tolerate taking turns?
No, because I think she is assigned that the energy of femininity as weakness. And so she has such a strong masculine energy because that's been, again, her survival mechanism for so long. Yeah. And so, and we saw that come to play with Alonjuan and the drama that fell out there. You know, she socially copes by, you know, wanting to be, her goal is to be loved. So she's like, I'm the jokester. I need to be loud. If I'm loud and I make people laugh, then they're going to like me. And then she crossed a line and it blew up. And I feel like both of them, I feel like Alonjuan and Katina could have handled it better. We can get into that in a second. And obviously Lindsay needs to understand exactly what Mark and what Michael eventually talked to Jasmina about, another great conversation, is when you are meeting new people, you don't know what their boundaries are or their opinions and perspectives on everything is yet. And so you do need to be a little considerate of other people and aware,
and how you fit in.
And, you know, read the room and like, you know, because I'm sure that there was some tension rising before that last comment was made and she was unable to pick up on it because of how she copes, you know?
It makes total sense that Lindsay and Olajuwon would like, energetically bump into each other, like literal bumper cars into each other, because of the way in which they both occupy space like that.
And energy. Yeah, it's both. It's toxic masculine energy, really, is what it is, repelling each other, because that's how it works. It's magnetic when it's in a healthy way, right? When you're sitting in proper energies, you gravitate towards each other. But when it's unhealthy, it's literally like two magnets repelling each other. That kind of resistance, that tension that you hang in. Yeah. Fascinating.
Yes.
So I'm really, really fascinated to see what happens with them. They honestly, I know you haven't watched season 9. If anyone's listening who has watched season 9, which I believe it was on Netflix, I don't know if it still is, they remind me so much of Jamie and whatever their partner's name is. I can't even remember. But it was so toxic. It was like this. It was very volatile. They were and they're still married all these years later. They ended up working it out. So I'm happy for them, but I'm curious which direction Mark and Lindsay are going to go.
If like anyone's listening to this and you identify with being a person who tends to carry a lot of masculine energy, and you know that your partner also carries a lot of masculine energy, and this is like a dance that you do, is it you?
Oh my God. Yeah. This is something I work on all the damn time. Jordan and I even talk about. Jordan's like, you're a masculine chick because I'm in here running a business and doing all those things. And so I've had to get good at, and I'm still trying to master it, flipping into a more feminine receptive state in the evening, and to be more nurturing and to be more loving and to be more like, you know, but yeah, I think a lot of women struggle with it because of the society we've built for ourselves.
Totally.
We've been forced. Women have been forced to conform to these masculine facades of like, go to work, hustle, grind, make your money. And it's like,
we're also a bit forced to be in the natural nurturing state as well. And I put natural in quotes because it's not actually natural for all of us or everyone.
No.
And so it is a balance. It's a dynamic that you have to put a little energy into. Yeah. I'm just curious. I'm curious. Well, if anyone's listening and relates to Alex or Lindsay and Mark and want to like share a bit about how you make this work for you, like we are dying to hear it.
Yeah, totally. I have to take transition moments. I take like a little breather before and like change my hats.
I love that. I think that's important.
I set the intention too. Let me be real here. I am not as consistent at it as I would like to be, but I am getting better. And this is something that I talk to my clients with all the time. And let me be more clear. When the seasons of the relationship really dictate my ability to do that. Because, for example, when Jordan was sick as a dog in the ER and the gut health shit, I was always in my masculine because it was like,
right, because you had to like take care of everything else.
Yeah, exactly. And so coming out of that season in December was a challenge for me because I had been for so long in that energy. And so it's literally, it's being intentional. God, that's what I want to get tattooed across my freaking chest. Be intentional because it's like, it really does come down to the intentionality of what you're stepping into. Anyway, I digress. I could talk about that all day. Alex
and I have an alternate version of our realities in which we are tattooed beings with all of our affirmations.
Our affirmations.
I joke about that because people do that all the time and it's like no shade, but I love the idea, like this image of like just affirmations, like in different fonts, like scattered across my skin.
Yes. My soul.
My soul, tattoo it on my soul. It would be interesting to see how Lindsay would navigate. I bet Lindsay would probably be a little bit more well received if she was intentional about how she like took into consideration what is this space requiring? Like, we're all a little tired. Maybe I need to be like the class clown, the bus clown.
Yeah, it's just a skill she needs to learn because honestly, when I see her and Mark privately, that girl has some depth. And that's why I want to give her a hug.
Yeah.
I really want to give her a hug because she only feels safe doing that in certain environments and with people who've passed her tests. And it's like, girl, I want to know that, Lindsay. I want to know you. Come hither. Express yourself, you know? So, sending you love, Linz.
Yeah. Okay.
Next.
Quick step to Olajuwon and Katina, just to honestly close the loop on what we saw there.
Well,
it was interesting. So like following this, like, little beefed moment between Lindsay and Olajuwon, and we're not even going to get into like what caused them to beef because that's not the point of the show.
No.
But Katina rallied up against Olajuwon, or behind Olajuwon, I should say, really quickly and actually really hard, and became actually like quite vocal. And I'm curious what that was about. I'm curious if that felt more in line with speaking to how she already feels about Olajuwon, which I'm going to bet my money is not it. Or did she like already really not love Lindsay's energy and was just sort of like jumped at the opportunity to like sort of quote, put her in her place? Or she like, I don't know, did you have a couple of drinks on the plane, just feeling hot and spicy? Like, where did it come from?
It could be any of those things. It honestly could be, because we don't know. I will say that when I saw her reaction on the bus, which is what you're alluding to, I knew from that this was, we were getting two different messages, because also no one on the bus no one else was chiming in to be like, yeah, that was messed up. It was very much like everyone was keeping, and so, I truly feel what you said about, did she have enough time with Lindsay to at this point kind of have enough information for her to be like, I'm just not about it. I think that's true. I actually talked to Jordan about that. I was like, think about it. They had the meet and greet on the couch. They had the bachelorette party, and like you know, and the bachelorette party for sure was a couple hours where with alcohol and all of that was going on.
And then the flight as
then
well.
the flight. Yeah. And I feel like, yeah, let's just assume that those are all the interactions, but that's enough to kind of make your decision on like how you feel about a person, you know? And so, or at least, let me rephrase that, not to make a decision on how you feel about a person, but to be able to understand someone's vibe enough to know how much you can and can't tolerate. Right.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah. And so for Katina, when, you know, they calmed down, and I will say I really respect Olajuwon. Sorry. I love that they nicknamed him O. I started making notes that way. I was like,
me
great.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, great nickname. Awesome. It's a long name.
Yeah.
When Mark came down to kind of try and extend an olive branch and see what the vibe was, Olajuwon immediately stood up and was like, I apologize, bro. And like, they hugged it out, and Katina chimed in and explained herself. She was like, you know, I just can only take her for so much of a period of time. And that's understandable. Okay. And my only issue with that is then say that instead of, you know, keep her away from me. Cause that sounds way more aggressive and scary than I just need a break from Lindsay right now. I just need space. Just give me a little bit and we'll be fine.
Right.
Yeah.
Which I think is just like, and it's a signal that like Katina's definitely still in her feelings about how Lindsay made her feel. Like, cause she did say like, I need her in small doses, but I think that like it's, you know, Olajuwon's trying to pull her back in and be like, listen, let's just make this about us. Let's just focus on us. And the continuous remarks, however they get expressed, are clearly just it's like a
sweep it under the rug.
Yeah, but I'm not over this yet. I'm not over it.
Yeah. So that's the other thing that I was curious about is they're saying this to Mark, but how are they going to actually treat Linz when she decides to get with the group again?
Probably not great.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. Something about Olajuwon and Katina that I wanted to know just from when they were talking to each other's families.
Oh, totally. Jelani.
I noticed, I noticed that, Olajuwon got called out by.
That guy, Jelani.
Yes. Is her a friend?
Yeah.
Katina's friend.
Yeah, this was actually such a good example of defensiveness and manipulation and
on the side of Olajuwon.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
And I'll explain what I mean by that. So, you know, Olajuwon goes to sit down with Katina's, I believe it's her sister, and I think Jelani, I don't think it's her brother. I think it's just one of her really good guy friends.
Yeah, and a combination of friends and family. Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, and I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly. Let's just call him Jay, because I feel like I'm not. Jelani, Jay. Okay, we're going to call him Jay.
Yeah, I missed his name, if I'm honest, so Jay is fine.
Yeah. I spelled it out, but I don't trust myself, and I want to be respectful. Yeah. So, Jay. He literally asks Olajuwon, so why did you do this? Like, why did you get married to a stranger? And Olajuwon kind of goes off on his monologue like he tends to. And towards the end, he says, you know, so I decided to try something new. And Jelani did not like hearing that, because he was like, this is not, you try something new like you try a new food. Like, this is, said vows. This is a serious lifelong commitment. This isn't temporary. This is not just like trying, you know? And so he kind of got on him, and in Olajuwon, when I say Olajuwon tried to flip into the manipulation, is he kept interrupting Jelani as he was trying to express like his concerns about Olajuwon, and like, I don't know if I trust you fully because of, you know, the past, and like, are you truly done with that lifestyle? And Olajuwon kept saying, I hear you, like on like a literally like that too, like boom, 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 boom. And that is when someone is interrupting you and he's not truly hearing him, because if he was listening, he would have, he'd be quiet, and he would also validate the dude. Like you said before, yeah, bro, like I get that, man. I'm not proud of who I was, you know? So, and also if Olajuwon genuinely wanted to change this guy's mind, his response would be, I get where you're coming from, dude. I hope in time I'll be able to prove to you that I'm a good dude. You know,
Right.
like at this point, I just need to prove to you over time.
Right. Because there truly is nothing that one can do in that moment to make up someone's mind that you are a different person than your past suggests. But again, like you said, if you're interrupting them, you're saying, you're honestly, it's quite ironic to be like, I hear you, I hear you, I hear you, when you're clearly not listening. To challenge them because you are feeling defensive, because you are feeling a bit attacked, because someone's calling you out and they have every right to be cautious and mention, like you said, this is a marriage. Like that also reflected exactly the concerns that we've had about Olajuwon, is to be like, like he just made this decision. I don't know if he's prepared to know how you're actually supposed to do this differently. Yeah, exactly. And so the next thing that comes out of Jelani, or Olajuwon's mouth is, you know, bro, like if you want to call me out, dude. Like he kind of like postures and is like, go ahead, like call me out. And he's trying to, but Olajuwon isn't allowing him the floor genuinely. So there's a conflict in Olajuwon's words and behaviors. And then my next red flag was when he goes back to Katina and she was so excited, like, so how was it? Like, what did you think? And she even chimed in. She's like, Jelani, Jay, like I really appreciate his opinion of people because he has a good judge of character. And immediately Olajuwon was like, nah, I don't think he does, as a means of self-preservation to protect himself because he knows that guy is going to want to go back to Katina and be like, I don't know, girl, like, be careful. Right. And so O's already trying to set the stage and plant a seed of doubt in her mind by giving him his 2 cents on, you know, what he feels about this guy because he came after him. Right. So, let me tell you, and you meaning the pervert, like, you know, the audience. Everyone. When someone is truly transforming their life and changing as a human being, they will understand other people's hesitancy to trust the transformation. They will. They will not defend themselves or try and shut you down for expressing your concerns. They won't. If they are truly changing. Because they will understand, if the roles were reversed, they will be able to empathize and get your perspective of the situation. If someone does not have the emotional maturity to do that, when they're saying, you know, I'm not who I used to be, and so they shut down the conversation when you bring up who they used to be, to me, that's not true transformation. Couldn't agree more. That's exactly it. There would be nothing to defend. You would understand that, like, I fucked up. Having gone through the actual process of transitioning, changing your habits, changing your mindset, totally reshaping your approach to life and your relationships with people, you would understand that someone who just met you isn't going to just be so convinced. Getting a little bit of insight about what your history was, and it's totally appropriate for this person to be concerned about their friend, close person in their life. Like, have space for that. Yeah, totally. And like I said before, your response can always be, dude, I get it. And, you know, I hope in time I can prove to you otherwise. And like, that's such a beautiful, humble, like, you know, it because it's true. It's so true. At some point, we got to give someone the opportunity to prove us wrong in you know, when we're becoming and we're growing new, as new people, as better versions of ourselves. So, I felt like that was the most eye-opening part of the entire episode for these two. These two, me too. Definitely for these two, particularly. Okay, our last two couples are really important for us to talk about for a number of reasons. Jasmina and Michael. Let's start there because that'll be
less crazy than Alyssa and Chris.
So where we sort of get caught up with Jasmina and Michael is like they have their individual talks with each other's families. Jasmina is talking to Michael's sisters, and they mention that Michael is a person who tends to like expect the worst, which like you could call it anxiety. He calls it being a realist.
Realistic.
Like, yeah, right. But like we either are these people or we know these people, and like, and it's a perspective. But that clearly created a red flag moment in Jasmina's mind where she was very like alert. She called it a red flag. She was really nervous about what this means.
Upset.
She was upset, and I could see that she was already, the gears were already turning of like, what's this going to look like in my relationship? She was sort of already starting to play out, how is this going to result in the conflicts I'm now expecting that I'm going to have? What I wish she did is I wish that the next time that she connected with Michael, whether it was before the honeymoon, once they got to the honeymoon, whenever she felt that she had enough time to process how that made her feel and what concerns it brought up for her, I wish that she opened that up with him. Mm-hmm. Cause I'm not blaming her for noticing that and being like, oh shit, what's this mean for me? What's this mean for us? But I wish that she was like, hey, like, you know, your sisters mentioned something and I just wanted to like talk to you about it. Like, how do you see this? They described you as being someone who like expects the worst out of everything. What does that mean to you? Like, what does that look like for you? What do I need to know? What's helpful? What's not helpful? You know?
Yeah, totally. This is where the saying of what you look for, you will find comes into place. Because if I'm being honest, I'm okay. Full transparency. I feel if his family, if his sisters did not tell Jasmina that, she would not have taken offense to what he said. I felt like what Michael said, my opinion, I felt like what Michael said was so beautifully articulate and understandable and logical and reasonable and realistic. I truly felt that in this moment, he was not anticipating the worst out of the situation. He very much was like, humans are going to be humans. We don't know these people. We don't know people's ideologies, preferences, boundary. Like, so of course we're going to butt heads at some point. And she hears him say that. And because of the lens, the filter in which she is now looking through at their relationship, because of what his sister said, she hears that, I'm putting it in quotes, air quotes. Mm-hmm. She misinterprets that, let's say, to fit the filter she is perceiving this interaction as. Mm-hmm. And this is why I tell people, dating, in relationships, whatever, do not make assumptions. Do not make assumptions. Ask clarifying questions. Ask the clarifying questions. Dig deeper. Because they just had their first fight, not because Michael was negative or realistic or anything like that, because of Jasmina's inability to hear and ask the question and bring up her concern, just as you said. And that is really what the issue was. Right.
And Michael has no idea what's going on. So like they're commenting on the like fight that broke out between Olajuwon and Lindsay on the bus, and you know, Jasmine is like, I didn't expect that to happen. And like, Michael's like, of course I expected like that to happen. None of us really know each other. We're all a bunch of different personalities. Someone's bound to bump into each other. Yeah. Right. Not a surprise. And she's like, well, that's not how I see the world. That's not how I interact with the world. I don't expect the worst, which is, again, it's speaking directly from the concern that was planted from a conversation that Michael wasn't even a part of. He wasn't even a part of it. So she's in this conversation. She's in this conflict with Michael, with the information and the feedback and the fears that are coming from this conversation with his family that he was not a part of. And he's just like, what do you mean? Of course this was going to happen. He's thinking that they're having an actual debate just about the situation that played out between O and Lindsay. So it's like, he doesn't even know why she's like, all right, I'm going to go take a shower. He doesn't know why she's so upset. He's just like, I don't get it. I thought that I was being pretty realistic. Now he's starting to be like, what the heck just happened?
Yeah. And he, I really respect, because if you saw in the moment when she explained this and she's like, I'm a positive person and I'm going to think positively and I'm not going to assume that we're going to get in fights because da. And I don't agree with that mindset. I feel like that's
I disagree as well.
Yeah. I think it's a toxic positivity type mindset because please tell me what marriage and relationship on this planet has never had a conflict or disagreement once in their entire existence. 0.
Totally.
So here you go, girl, serving it up on a platter. And quite frankly, she's doing this to herself, poor thing, but she doesn't know. She doesn't know what she doesn't know,
Totally. Also would have been another really good opportunity to be like, okay, hold up. So what you're saying to me in response to this situation is reminding me of a thing that came up when I was talking to your sisters. Yeah. Right. It's like, okay, so you know what I mean? Like, again, she 100%. Missed all of these opportunities to totally just like open it up and be like, all right, full transparency, which is like what this episode should be titled.
Okay, well, maybe we will. But going back, because I didn't complete my thought and I really want to complete it in case anyone is sitting on the edge of their seat. What I appreciated about Michael when she was like, I'm a positive person, blah, 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 is when he could see she got upset, heated, whatever you want to call it. She was not happy. She wasn't tripping yet. She was, she never got there, but she was clearly not okay. Okay. He sat back and like witnessed her. He was like, oh, and like looked at her like, huh. Instead of getting mad, instead of coming at her, he got curious. He was like, what just happened? And I loved that about his demeanor. Because to me, it backs up his emotional maturity because, again, instead of emotionally responding to that, especially after saying what he said, which was so chill and so mature and being met with that, I would understand if he got reactive, but he didn't. He sat and was like, whoa, what just happened? Which is so emotionally mature and gold star, Michael. Gold star. That is some good hubby moves right there. Like 100% is just witnessing and being like, oh, wait. I know something just happened. That wasn't good. Let me backtrack really quick. How did we get here? Instead of saying something to her, just to react just out of defensiveness. Right.
I personally struggle with this a lot. I get caught up in like exactly where we are at in the timestamp of this fight instead of being like, whoa. Yeah. Take a step back here.
Yeah, it's a great skill to embrace.
What are we talking about? How did we get here? Yeah. And sometimes, like, again, like you said, ask clarifying questions. Ask questions.
Yeah. Totes. Yeah. Jordan and I have had to get good at it. And there's days where we're really, really good at it. And then there's days where we cross the line and then we take a time out and we're like, my bad. And like, we move on. But it is the times where we can be like, wait a second, hold on. I didn't mean that like that. And like, da-da-da. And it's like, we wipe our hands of it and move on. And it's so, honestly, it's like not a big deal. No. It's not. But you have to have that skill set of being like, oh, wait, I'm observing something and this wasn't where I wanted this to go. So like, let's clarify. Like, this is what I'm hearing. This is what I'm getting. Where are you at? Oh, okay. My bad. We'll do better next time.
Yeah. It's like being out of time with each other while you're like trying to do a dance, you're just missing steps.
Yeah. You're stepping on each other's toes.
Stepping on each other's toes. Don't do that.
Yeah, now we're going to get into a really gnarly dynamic. Gnarly.
Alyssa and Chris. This was such an interesting... I don't even know where to begin. Where do you want to begin with them?
Well, let's begin. Let's start at the beginning. Do you know what movie that's from? Pop quiz.
Nope.
Sound of Music, baby.
Listen, if there is someone to never quiz on any movie, television show, it's me. Don't quiz me.
Okay.
Because I don't know it.
So let's start at the quote unquote beginning. And what I mean by beginning is Chris talking to Alyssa's fam bam and telling them very honestly what was communicated, and almost not even very honestly, kind as fuck.
Yep.
She feels we aren't compatible. She kind of feels like we'd be friends. And the mom and her sister are like gunning for this guy. They're like, you're so great. Maybe over the honeymoon. Like, she moves slow. Just give her time over the honeymoon. And like,
but they are concerned. They are concerned.
They really want it to work, you know? And yep, it's not working.
Then it's not working. And so this is the first sign of like Chris being like, listen, if she is even at least a little bit in and she's just moving really slow, I'm all the way in. Like, I'm committed to trying to make this work. And because they're married, like, maybe he wouldn't have to be in that position if they were just dating, but they're married. So like, he's trying to figure out how to make this work. She goes to meet his family and she does nothing of the sort. She does not get curious with his family. She says that she's feeling really uncomfortable because she doesn't know this person and she's worried about being unkind. So I get where she's coming from, because I know that it would be very unkind to sit with someone's family and be like, I don't like your son and I'm not attracted to him, which is exactly how she's feeling. Yeah. And I truly think it's the only thing that she knows is true. And so she doesn't even know what else she would say. So therefore she says nothing. She's just engaging in small talk. She's like, what do you do? And then she just continues to hear things that they mention about his work-life balance and how he is committed to his job and the real estate grind. And she just continues to filter it through her, okay, not going to work category, not going to work category, not going to work category. That's not going to work for me. And is the perfect example of someone. And we do this when we're dating too. If you are already not interested in this person, or you have already figured out that your sights are set on the fact that like this person isn't going to cut it, you deserve something else, you're looking for something else, every bit of information is going to get filtered as a no pile.
100%.
Entirely.
Yeah. She, honestly, she's a very interesting case study. And as the episode went on, I was like, all right, I'm going to be really honest right now. Okay.
Full transparency.
Full fucking transparency. As the episode went on, I was like, okay, there's like some narcissistic type shit happening here. And I feel like right now that term is so thrown around like candy. And so I really want to be mindful that just because someone has narcissistic tendencies does not mean they're a diagnosable narcissistic personality disorder candidate. Okay.
That's a good thing to know.
Yeah.
For sure.
And so what is scaring me, I feel so bad for this guy, but
yeah, me too.
What freaks me out about her is she was so comfortable before she went down the aisle being like, I need to be attracted to the person. And obviously their personality is great. And now she's grasping at every damn straw to reach for, to paint him as a condescending, disrespectful dude, when the contrast with the other couples, even was it Olajuwon or Michael or Mark? One of them made a comment that was like,
Chris, Mark.
Mark. Yeah. So and the guys love him.
He was talking about, he was like, everyone has buttons. I have buttons. Lindsay has buttons. Right. Olajuwon has buttons. Chris maybe has buttons. Maybe we'll find out because we don't know. And it was such a well-timed joke. This poor man, his face was just sort of so defeated because he knows that that's true about him. He knows that he's a likable guy.
Easygoing. Yeah.
And he is being painted by this person as like the absolute, like a devil worshiper. Not literally, but.
Because of her inability to own that she's not physically attracted to him. She doesn't feel that, she doesn't want to look shallow by saying that. And so she is looking desperately for to build a case against him. And it is so scary to just watch. And I want to like jump in the TV and like interject myself in the dynamic, because poor dude. And he finally started to realize it, you know, after a couple days of being treated this way. He caught on to her game and starts to actually use language like, I think I'm being gaslit. And I'm like, yes, you are, buddy.
Yeah.
Yes, you are.
Something that I want to shed light on that I really want to give him his flowers for doing while he was going through this with her is the expert skills in trying to communicate with her and trying to have some like real down ass chats. He's using I statements. He's saying, listen, this is how I'm feeling. What are you feeling? He's trying to check in with her literally every step of the way, and not in that annoying step like, are you okay? He's literally like, okay, we're about to get on this flight. How are you feeling? What are your hopes? Where are we at? Then, and she's like, I don't know. I don't really like to do anything. Then we get there and he's like, okay, so we're here. I'm feeling like you're not super interested. Where are you at? Can you share with me what's going on for you? He's really, the way that he's communicating with her, I wish it was being utilized with a partner that deserved to have that kind of healthy communication.
Yeah, agreed. Because if I'm being super honest, it freaks her out. Like 100%. Yeah. The reason it angers her more is because she's like, can you just yell at me so that I have something to hold? It's low key reactive
call you
abuse.
An asshole.
Yeah, she's trying to get at him so that he has some kind of large reaction, so she can be like, there it is. I'm married to a dick, right? And have some kind of reason to like some kind of valid reason to be like, I don't want to be here. But the sad reality, because it's threatening to her. It doesn't feel safe to her. I think she is used and accustomed to dramatic, volatile relationships. And so having a guy who's like, I genuinely want to take care of you. I genuinely am interested in you. I want to get to know you. I want to try and make this
annoyed.
Work. She's like, you're not Channing Tatum, so goodbye. Like, that's really how it feels like to me. And I could guarantee that if a Channing Tatum type was in front of her being a complete condescending asshole, she would be about it and she would be sharing a bedroom with him. I really, truly feel that she has just gotten stuck on the fact that he's not attractive.
She's not attracted to him.
And so she will not even entertain it. And it's really a disservice to everyone involved because she's wasting, to her, she ain't wasting her time because she's getting a trip to Puerto Rico. But, poor Mark is like being freaking traumatized going through this.
Chris.
I'm sorry. Thanks for the correction. Chris. I do confuse those two a lot. Poor Chris. Yeah. They look a little similar.
No, I agree. They sort of, they don't have the same energy, but in my mind, they do.
Yeah. So anyway, poor Chris. Yeah, he's being low-key traumatized by this whole experience, and he's trying to do his damnedest, and he deserves so much more. So yeah, the other thing that I kind of want to bring up that I thought was very interesting, just from like a, I guess, anthropological study type viewpoint. When we see the shot of them on the resort grounds, it's 2 lines of 3, and it's Noi, Chris, and Steve. And the second line is Alyssa, Olajuwon, Katina. Okay? So, Olajuwon and Katina, we just saw with the dramatic display of emotion about Lindsay, that whole thing. They take the bus over, and now they're seen with Alyssa, who we've seen completely dismissing Chris, putting him off, not being kind at all. And those 3 are chilling. They're like walking hip to hip. And then in front you have Chris, Noi, and Steve. Noi and Steve, 2 of the most down-to-earth, chill, nice people, and Chris has associated himself with them. And this is such a beautiful painted picture of birds of a feather flock together, and like attracts like. It is such a good picture of that. And so I do feel that being mindful of like the company that people keep, like, really sheds light on what they value as a person. And so, I just wanted to point that out because as an educational tool when it comes to dating, I think I've even gotten this question on TikTok, like, my boyfriend's friends with a bunch of cheaters, and like, do you think I should care about that? And the answer is like, well, Yeah,
Probably.
a little. Because it's like, you know, a moral friend would be like, bro, that's not cool, man. I don't want to hear about that.
You have to think about what's normalized within that small
group
community, because like, while like we all have things about our general culture, like our larger cultural groups that are normalized. So your friend group or who you keep around you is just a much smaller worldview of your world. So that is what's normalized within that world is what you are accustomed to, or what feels like not such a big deal. And relevant.
And so I just thought that was so fascinating. And like, obviously, as Brie and I already touched on, like as the episode continues, she gets nastier and nastier and nastier towards him. And so when Chris again finally leaves and is hopping in the elevator to go to his own room because she refuses to even stay in the same room, even though they're separate.
And honestly,
beds.
At this point, he's like, yeah, I don't want to be in a room with you anymore.
Yeah. And good for him. Like that's the thing. The other thing I really want to commend Chris on is staying so chill. Like, as you were saying, he was using I statements. He was communicating well. At no point as she escalated did he escalate with her. He was very like, just trying to talk to her. You know, he wasn't yelling at her. He wasn't trying to be mean back at her. He wasn't trying to like, he is a gem. He's doing good. He's doing real good. Something that
he did do that he needs to be cognizant and aware of to do less of when he's fighting with Alyssa in particular is flip side of I statements or you statements, don't use you statements. Like you don't want to be like, you didn't try, because that's it's so easy for this other person to argue on, because like you could see that when Chris says, I feel like you didn't try, you haven't tried once since we started, Alyssa was like, that's not true. And because, you know, to give her the benefit of the doubt, there was at least some point in this process that she was trying, but eventually stopped. And she did eventually stop trying. But so for her, she's like, that's not true. You're calling me a liar. I'm not about to be on television with someone calling me a liar. So she grabs onto that instead of hearing any of these other concerns that he's bringing up, or these other options to like get her buy-in about like, what's going on? Where are you at? Allowing her to like actually be put in the hot seat to like sort of explain herself and speak on how she's feeling. He said too much and she grabbed onto it and she ran with it.
Yeah. And this is actually something that I talk a lot with clients dealing with these kinds of personalities is less is always more. Like, think very black and white, like you're a lawyer in a courtroom, be very, very matter of fact, and like only state statements that you know are true, and don't participate in the game. Because you're right. Like, then she turned the, you're going to call me a liar because I don't feel comfortable staying in a room with someone that I don't feel comfortable in. Like, she makes a comment like that, which was so not what he was trying to say. And so, yeah, it was a hot mess express. And so you're right. Yes. Let's double down on like, please stay away from you statements. Because they're very triggering for someone to hear. It could have been, I felt that there hasn't been much effort, towards us throughout this process. And if she was like, well, that's not true, my counsel to Chris would be like, okay, I hear you. Can you tell me how you feel you have been? Yeah. Like, what's it been like for you? Like, what's your experience in putting effort in? Because I agree with Chris. I feel the second she turned the corner at the wedding and saw him at the end of the aisle, she was out. I really do. I don't think at any point was she genuinely trying to get to know him. I don't feel like she's asked him any questions about his life. And so, I'm Team Chris in this dynamic so hard.
100%.
Yeah.
Alyssa needs a friggin'
therapist.
Reality check. Yes, she does.
Several.
I'm interested to see how this plays out. She definitely needs some, but you know what? Honestly, even a good therapist wouldn't be good for her because she's lacking insight.
Yeah. Yeah. I really didn't. I have a quote that I just saw in my notes where, she says like, I'm a nice person, just be nice to me. And she said it almost exactly like that, like super whiny and like, I'm a nice person. And it's like, please really? Like, and I know that might sound really mean if especially if you're not watching the show with us, but she truly has been unkind to him.
Yeah.
Not even acknowledging him, not even trying to talk to him, not sitting by him, and to the point to where the other couples are obviously noticing this. And Michael, you know, straight up says to the camera, I've talked to Chris. I've had some really good conversations with him. He's a good guy. I don't understand what's going on.
Misconnection. Yeah.
Yeah. So, we will see. But and by the way, to continue our conversation from last week on, are they contractually obligated to stick this out for extended period of time?
Ooh.
I'm wondering if that's like for sure legit, because I don't think Chris would be asking her over and over and over again. Like, if you're not done, like if you're not into this, let's be done. Like, he kind of keeps trying to get that out of her. And I think that if they were contracted to see this through for a certain period of time,
on the table.
He would drop it. Yeah. So
it would be on the table.
So I
agree with that. I noticed that too.
Bro, I wish the experts could fly to Puerto Rico and give them some counseling, because I feel bad that Chris needs to wait now.
Yeah.
So, red flag, green
we're gonna
flag.
find out. Oh, okay. My red flag is, actually, you go first.
Alyssa's inability to own what she actually wants is my red flag. Like, dude, I would have so much respect for that woman if on the wedding night she was like, look, let's see this process through. I'm going to be really honest with you. I'm not currently physically attracted to you, but I feel that there's a reason the experts put us together. So let's see what that's about, you know, and see if I can get there with you. And I would have so much respect for her. Or the opposite. Like, look, I'm not physically attracted to you, so we're just going to wrap this up tomorrow. And, like, it was a good shot. We tried. Wish you all the best. I'm so sorry that this didn't work for us. You know, I would have so much respect for her, because you're not a shitty person for wanting to be attracted to your husband. You're not.
I appreciate you giving her that much grace.
Okay.
Only because no. Okay. No, I appreciate that, because I know that that's true for one. And I know that that's true for her, but I think I can't stand behind going on a show. It's not a blind date show. It's a blind marriage show. So, like, there was such a small possibility that you were going to be guaranteed to find this person on the other end of the aisle attractive. Like, the whole point was to, like, get to know them and then see if love grows. Yeah. So
yeah. And this episode, I didn't touch on this when we were talking about them, but just to add to the red flags, there were multiple times in this episode where she literally contradicted her own words. Like, when she was taking shots with him, you know, I'm not a mushy girl. I'm kind of a private person. Like, I don't make out. I don't do PDA. I'm not that. And then this episode, she's like, I'm an open person. I'm very, you know, I'm not that private, and like, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, wait, what? I'm getting mixed signals. So
yeah, but I definitely totally agree where it's like, own your shit. Like, if you don't want to be here, like, just concede. He's calling you out. He's saying, like, I don't feel like you're in this. Instead, she's like, I'm just like, we're going to see what happens. It ain't shit going to happen with your piss poor attitude. Yeah. And your piss poor lens.
Yeah. She's not truly open. And she even said that all of the time. We're not compatible. She would say that. We're not compatible. And I need time to trust you again. What?
Yeah. You never trusted this person. Also,
stop
comparatively. We have Alyssa, who is taking in absolutely every piece of information as negative and entirely closed off. So when she says, like, we're just going to see what happens, it's fucking laughable. And then you have Noi, who is so, like, every fiber of her being is open to this possibility of this working out. So when she hears, and it's reconfirmed that her husband does not have a job and doesn't exactly know what his plan for a job is, she's like, okay, we're going to figure that out. If that were Alyssa would have been like, oh no, hell no. that's not going to work. But I guess we'll see what happens. But no, that's not going to work. That's not good for me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you're out, you're out. Like your husband knows. Actually, he's probably a pretty good match for you because he sort of got you pegged.
Yeah, 100%. And that's the other thing is like because she kept saying like, I feel gypped. And it's like, if she was in a genuine place of really wanting to be open to this experience and understand why they were matched, she would ask that. She would be like, I want to talk to the experts to understand what they saw. What did you see that I'm not seeing? Because I don't feel like this. I felt like y'all did me dirty. So please tell me what's going on. And Jordan, I'll say this. He said it so good. He feels that she is completely insulted in the fact that they would pair her with a guy who looks like him because she feels like it's a complete insult to her physical value and like her beauty to be associated and matched with a guy who doesn't, in her mind, match her standards of physical beauty, that she just cannot accept it.
Yes.
And my boyfriend's right. She's offended. She's offended that they thought that this man, who she clearly is not physically interested in, would be a match for her. Yeah.
Get over yourself.
Okay, your red flag.
Whew, that was a doozy. That was a good one.
It was layers.
Layers to this shit. My red flag is Jasmina.
I knew it.
Taking in. Yep. You know it, baby. You know it. You love it. It's Jasmina. I'm not upset with Jasmina for taking in what Michael's family said as something to be curious about. My issue and why I'm naming this as a red flag in Jasmina is that she didn't open this up with Michael and just get curious about it with him. And when she did get into a fight, which was very closely related to this issue that she is having with Michael, she saw the first opportunity in which it showed up, or like sort of showed up in their conversations, which turned into conflict. She didn't open it up them either.
No.
And I just find that to be stuck behavior. Yeah, because that's really like what we're talking about, these small details of how we carry on our bad habits that actually leave us disconnected from finding like good quality partnerships with each other, because that's your defense system working, being like, nope, I got to shut this down because I am comfortable being alone. I am better off alone, and I'm not going to make this work. I'm not going to do this differently. I'm just going to be really fucking stubborn in my position and just like lay there. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Green flags.
Okay. My green flag is Chris's attempts to check in with Alyssa. Every step of his conversation, despite the absolute garbage that she was throwing around in there. He was like, wait, what's going on? Hey, I feel like this isn't working. I feel like you're not there. I feel like, how are you feeling? And she just shit the bed. So my green flag's Chris.
Yeah. Word. Love it. Mine will be with Michael. Go guys. Guys getting green flags this week.
Guys getting green flags.
Yeah. And I really just like to head back to what I said before. Really, really, really loved that in a moment where traditionally many would respond in emotional reactivity to the tone in which Jasmina was coming at him with, he witnessed her and bit his tongue and took it as an opportunity to try and analyze what had just occurred. And that is, again, a skill that must be mastered for healthy long-term love. And to have it right off the bat, man, good job, dude. Keep it up.
Love it.
Seriously.
Love to see it. We have a Reddit question.
Yes, we do.
Our Reddit question is from a lovely contributor on the internet whom we love so much. Thank you for adding to our conversation. Okay. This, I think they identify as a male. So they wrote, just how big of a red flag is it to not have any local friends? I see this in a lot of threads. He's talking about Reddit. where people immediately say it's a red flag if someone doesn't have friends. I'm just wondering how big of a red flag it is. I don't currently have any friends that I see in person anymore due to some significant life-changing events. A lot of my friends are former military buddies who are scattered all over the country, and even with them, I only talk to them a handful of times a year. I'm fairly new to my current town where I attend college and don't work, so meeting people my age has been difficult. Is this basically a dating death sentence?
Ooh, okay, wait.
Yeah.
I feel like there's two different questions there. Is this a dating death sentence? Not having
He's
friends?
wondering, is not having friends and not having friends locally a dating death sentence? Is it a big red flag? Would it be a known red flag to absolutely every single person he would ever try to date?
Okay, I love this question because yes and no, and this is why. Okay, I truly feel that depending on the context, like, for example, I've gone through some serious life growth over the last couple of years. So, like, people that I was friends with a few years ago, even over quarantine, I am no longer friends with because of the amount of political stuff that came out and la 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 la. So, like, as we grow and as we start to get to know people in their true colors, of course, friendships are going to fall off. I'm a big proponent of having a tight inner circle of people who you can really bear all with. And I only have a few people in that inner circle. And that doesn't mean you don't have friends that are of different varying degrees. Okay. So, so cool. Now, in your case, Brie, you just moved to Florida. Mm-hmm. You haven't met a bunch of people there. I wouldn't say that that's a red flag about you. My only caveat to this, when it becomes a red flag, is when it's someone who has a lot of surface level friendships, but there is no deep friendships. And here's why I bring this up. The guy you met, my like worst relationship of my life. He had people who he called best friends. He had people who he called friends, and post our breakup, when I ended up connecting with those people, they did not consider him a best friend or a friend.
They're like, that dude, we're not claiming him.
Well, no. And it wasn't even because of the way he treated me. It was genuinely because they didn't have depth to their friendships. Okay.
They weren't close.
Yeah. And so this is where my concern comes in is I think it's a red flag if someone doesn't have friends that they can call in a time of need or to vent to, or who truly know who they are, then it's an issue. But if it is a case of someone who has deep friendships, like my friendship with you is so deep, we've never lived in the same state ever.
Never.
And I feel like that is what really matters, is like, does it matter if someone's local or not? Not really. It's the depth of the friendships that you do have and the varying degrees of that matter, because it is really easel. It's really easel. It's really easy for someone who's a master manipulator to kind of have all of these like surface level friendships scattered about. But again, there's no depth. And so it's not so much about the quantity and the positioning of those friends. It is the actual depth of the friendship itself that matters to me.
And my guess is that a person who is writing into a Reddit thread wondering, what does this mean about me? What's like, how would this be perceived by people that I'm trying to date, trying to get some perspective? Chances are you're not a master manipulator. So, that's one thing that we can at least probably rule out. This person didn't mention anything about their family. But I wonder, like, because I know a lot of people that don't have a whole lot of friends because their relationships with their family members are so deep. They run so deep. And and so I think that, like, to your point, like, what are the depths of the relationships in this person's lives, regardless of how they know them?
Yeah.
Like, are those meaningful? I do think it's something that you can get. I hope that this person has an opportunity to date people long enough that they're the partners that they're dating or getting to know are curious about them so they can sort of learn more about what their challenges making friends have been. Because if they were to get to know you, let's say you're in a dating space, which you're not, but if you were someone, you could be like, listen, I've had to cut a lot of people out of my life because they weren't healthy people for me anymore. Like that's contextually relevant. For me, it's like I literally just moved to a state where only my family lives and none of my friends live. Like that's contextually relevant. Yeah. Also, I just also want to note that just to answer the question of like, is one got to normalize? It is difficult to meet, make new friends when you're older. We've sort of touched on that in previous episodes. There's options, but the process is difficult. But I don't think that every single person that may date you cares that much about your like relationships with friends or other people. Like some people, that's definitely a value. For me, it's a value. I like to know how you treat the important people in your life, but that's my value. That's not everyone's value.
True. Yeah. And we have the introvert extrovert dynamic too to consider, because the reality is someone who's more extroverted may have a ton of friendships of, again, varying degrees and levels, but someone who's introverted may have 3 friends, you know?
Yeah.
And that's cool too. But those 3 friends are probably like ride or die friends.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know? So yeah, good question.
I'm only a little bit, it's a very good question. I'm only a little bit curious, just out of curiosity, how does one keep up with their friends that they only talk to a couple handful times of a year? This is a weird way of saying that. Just curious. How do we do that? How are we doing that? What's it like?
Social media.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
The end.
Oh, here we go. We did it yet again. Another week, another maths episode. I can't wait for more.
I know, it's getting juicy. Just throwing it out there in case you missed it last week or you have yet to take us up on it. Bri and I have an event coming up on this app February 10th. Again, it is for those who identify as women. So if you are wanting to come hang out with us as a self-love Galentine's Day celebration and how to navigate that, then hit us up on Instagram at Ditch the Script Pod, or DM us, or email us at info@ditchthescriptpod.com, and we will shoot you a link for you to get an invite to this app to join us. Just wanted to remind you.
You can DM me if you want. My DMs are open, baby.
Yeah, DM Bri. Yes.
Also, follow our Instagram, follow our TikTok at Ditch the Script Pod. Follow our YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also, please go to our website, submit your questions. We will answer them anonymously.
Yeah.
And
let's pause there, okay? Like, look, Reddit's fun. We like answering Reddit questions, but your questions are way more fun.
Way more fun.
They're way more fun. So, like, hit us up. Hit us up.
Yeah. Yeah.
We get so excited to answer them.
Oh my God, it's so great. We love it.
It is.
We're all on the struggle bus together. We're on the wellness train and the struggle bus, and just sometimes they cross paths.
It really makes me want to go down the whole High School Musical. We're all in this together. Yeah, 100%. We all knew the choreography.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have to go. We have to go.
And if you liked this episode, leave a review. Okay, we love you. See you next week.
Love you. Bye.
Bye.